Hello, hello to the thousands of people that are watching live. I'm so glad you could join me. Uh, we'll see if anybody shows up today, right? All right. Well, looks like I am live, so that's cool. Um, uh, don't see any live chat yet, so we'll see if we can. There we go. So it looks like the chat is working. There we go. There we go. That's cool. All right. So at least I'm here. I'm alone, but that's okay. It is a Wednesday. That means it's a big idea Wednesday where self indulgently I think up an idea that I think is genius and I share it with the world. oh, what's up, Big Daddy? Nice that you're here. All right, we got a couple people in the stream, so that's a good thing. And we're going to talk about this idea. It's a big idea. It's called narrative gravity, and I think it's a pretty. I think it's pretty good, and I'd really like your feedback on this. So, um, we also have a great show. We got a number of stories. I'm going to go through all the stories of the day that seem to matter. But yeah, let's just get to the monologue on narrative gravity. Okay. There we go. There we go. There it is. And we're live. Smart people make this mistake all the time, and they assume beliefs spread through evidence. They don't. Right? Story beats evidence in the real world because story travels better. It's faster, simpler, more emotional, and easier to repeat. Repeat, repeat. The brain is built for narrative compression, not statistical patience. And when a story is emotionally strong enough, it just doesn't convince. It pulls. It pulls attention, it pulls interpretation, it pulls conclusions ahead of proof. I call it narrative gravity. And you can spot it when the villain is identified before the timeline is built, when certainty shows up before verification, when disagreement feels immoral instead of analytical. Inside a high gravity story, evidence isn't examined, it's filtered. Facts that fit get amplified, facts that don't fit, they get dismissed. Not usually out of dishonesty, but out of narrative loyalty. And from the inside, that filtering feels like clear thinking. That's why it's so powerful. This isn't a left problem, this isn't a right problem, it's a human cognition problem in an attention economy. The platforms reward emotional clarity, not cautious accuracy, right? The cleanest story gets the strongest pull, which means popularity doesn't prove truth, it proves gravity. So the move is simple. Before you adopt a conclusion, measure the pull of the story carrying it. Because if you don't, you didn't reach your belief by yourself. You didn't follow the facts. You followed the story with the strongest pull. My name's Tom Coffey. This is the Coffee Nuance Show, your favorite streaming show live right now. Flame on. Okay, here we are with the presentation. What's up, chat? What's up, chat? Let's see. Here, I got the mouse. And today, I want to give you a tool, okay? Not a take, a tool. A way to evaluate stories before they evaluate you. Kind of reminds me of that Russian comic from the 80s. I forget his name, you know. In Soviet Union, story finds you. Anyway, because most public belief doesn't spread through evidence review, right? We know that. It spreads through narrative force. And some stories don't just convince people, they pull. And you got to measure the pull, okay? So virality, it's a physics problem. It's not a signal of any truth whatsoever. So this is what I call narrative gravity. Pardon me, I got something in my eye. Narrative gravity is what happens when a story is so emotionally strong that people don't ask, hey, is this proven? And they start asking, does this fit with my worldview, right? And they're not lying, right? They're just filtering. And filtering feels like being smart. It feels like intelligence from the inside. And that's why smart people, they fall for high gravity stories, maybe even more so than dummies. Because they're better at defending their filter. Okay. So intelligence doesn't prevent you from bias. And often it'll just upgrade it. These are gravity multipliers. Okay. So if you got a clean villain, there's no ambiguity, right? If you got emotion, that increases share velocity. Right? Identity, it turns beliefs into belonging. And if a story is easily retold, that just makes the story portable, right? Everyone can take it around with them. If a story is complex and cautious and emotionally flat, it has weak gravity, even if it's true. Which is why careful truth often, almost always, loses to confident oversimplification, right? So complex is honest, but simplicity travels well. So this is the part that most people resist, but it's the most important. So high gravity stories don't need fake facts, okay? They don't. They just need selective facts. So the supporting details, they're called proof. And anything that conflicts with the story, those are exceptions or outliers or bad sources, right? So from the inside, this just feels like judgment, like solid judgment, not distortion. The brain says, I'm being careful, and the story says, I'm going to keep only the facts that help the story. So here's a field test for you, okay? If a story arrives, you're hearing a story for the first time, and it's fully moralized, it's instantly certain, it's emotionally hot, it's socially enforced, the gravity is really high in that story. It doesn't mean that it's fake news. It just means slow down, because truth can survive questions. Narratives hate questions, okay? So if a claim cannot tolerate a question, it's not a strong claim. It's very fragile. Science invites questions. Narratives file HR complaints, okay? So this is the summary principle here. Evidence measures truth. Emotion gives stories mass. Mass creates pull. And pull, not proof, decides what spreads. So your job, if you choose to take it, if you want independent judgment, is you need to be aware and measure the pull of a story before you decide to commit your beliefs to it. So most people, they never do this step. Most people think they follow the facts, but they're just orbiting the strongest story. That's it. And so let's talk about that, shall we? Let's go to here, here, here. There we go. And, all right. So, looks like, wow. That's it? That's all we got in the chat? It's just me and Big Daddy? That's all? Well, that's okay. We'll have a show all by ourselves. And again, this is an example of Nuance doesn't travel very well. So yeah, we'll get to it. But we've got that was the idea I wanted to introduce you today, just to think about that for the rest of the day. When you hear a new story, think about the gravity of it. But yeah, let's get to the news. Let's get to the news. And I got the news right here. All right. Yeah, you and me against the world, indeed. You know this guy? Saif al-Islam Gaddafi, son of former Libyan leader Muammar Gaddafi, prominent figure in Libya's political landscape, has been shot dead at the age of 53. This shocking development comes amongst all the turmoil in Libya, raising questions about the future of the country and the legacy of the Gaddafi family. You know, it's amazing what happens to countries once different NGOs and organizations roll in and kind of turn it into chaos. They stay chaos for a while, and that's what's been happening in Libya. They went from a kind of a thriving country in the area to, open-air slave markets, right? So, yay, USAID, you did your job right. But the question to think about is Saif's death, is this going to be a spark for civil war in Libya? I mean, because it looks like, from the outside, right, the Gaddafi dynasty is just seems to be gone, right? So yeah, I don't know, and I don't even know where to get some good reporting on what's happening over there to really have a good understanding of it. I'm just reading the same mass media that everyone else is reading. I look at it through my own lens. But yeah, so we'll just have to see. We'll just have to see what happens there. But let's get to the next story. What do we got here? Next story. Yikes. California is facing a massive hospice fraud crisis, with billions in taxpayer dollars being siphoned off due to lax oversight. That's not a good sign. You mean the fraud in California might even be bigger than the fraud in Minnesota? You're kidding me. You're kidding me. Well, according to this story here, organized crime, including Russian-Armenian mafia elements, have infiltrated the system, exploiting seniors and billing the government for non-existent services. Okay, so it's not all Somalis, right? Somalis are doing it in Minnesota, but out in L.A., they got the Russian-Armenian mafia doing it. It says Los Angeles County accounts for 18% of the nation's home health care billing. What? That doesn't even sound right. How is that even possible? Dr. Oz has called for urgent reforms. Critics are pointing at state leadership and the situation raises serious concerns about the integrity of the U.S. healthcare system, I don't know. It kind of raises questions about every single system in America. And I'll say every single system with one exception, and that's the voting system, because we all know that the voting system is 100% legitimate, always has been, always will be. So I just had to throw that point in to make sure I stay on here. Hey, why did the hospice agency cross the road? To build Medicare on the other side. But I'm bumped. Rim shot. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. This really isn't about fraud. This is like a full-blown heist. It's a heist of the elderly. It's a heist of the taxpayers. They're instead of elder care, they're calling it grand theft care. No, kidding. But this really is just an example in California of systemic failures. If organized crime can prey on the most vulnerable in society and take advantage of that whole situation, we got to do something, right? But I'm glad that these things are coming to light. And if you're not hearing about these stories, maybe you got to change your feed, right? Maybe you got to change your feed. Anyway, what other stories we got to get to today? Yeah. So this is interesting. Have you been? Do you know this guy, Ben Bankus, comedian? He's been popping up in my feed on X a lot recently. Canadian comedian, and I think I don't know if he got American citizenship or American residency or something, because I know that he's in the U.S. now. Spilled my coffee. Anyway, but Canadian comedian Ben Bankus had 6 sold-out shows canceled at Laugh Camp Comedy Club in Minnesota after a controversial routine about Renee Good. That was the woman killed in the ICE operation. And this is just showing, political pressure in comedy. And can you be a right-wing comic in America? Well, it doesn't look like you can in a blue state. That's just how it is. I know that he performed here in Portland a while back, but that was probably before everyone knew about him and knew his politics. So, the thing is, right? Obviously, comedians, their job are to push the boundaries. Not a lot of people like boundaries being pushed, and there's pushback on that. But I think the guy's generally pretty funny. And like I say, he has been showing up in my feed over and over again. And then here someone's making the, just kind of showing the hypocrisy that, Stephen Colbert can call ICE Nazis on his late night show, and he doesn't get canceled. But if you're a stand-up comedian and you're not echoing the narrative, you can get canceled. Anyway, I think Ben, I don't think it's hurting his business whatsoever. He's got a nationwide tour going through the rest of the year, and a lot of it's just getting sold out. It's helped selling tickets, and he might even move to bigger venues. So I don't think that this really hurts the business of people. when they get canceled in this way. But yeah, just thought I'd let you be aware of that. Oh my goodness, we got shocking news here. Bill and Hillary have now agreed to testify before Congress. Wow. This is amazing that I've got almost no one watching the show live. I got to figure out what's going on with that, because I should have a couple people in here. Couple people. At the very least. In a surprising turn of events, Bill and Hillary have agreed to testify before Congress, reversing their previous stance amid the threat of a contempt vote. Raises questions about their motivations. This testimony could have significant political ramifications ahead of the upcoming election. We'll see. I think it'll be a big day, having the Clintons testify. I don't have any good jokes on this. Yeah, but I guess they felt the pressure and they decided to deal with it head on, and we'll just see we'll just have to see how that goes. I really don't have anything better to say about that. Reserve comment on that. What do we got here? This is definitely true. Defunding ICE is a politically toxic position for Democrats. So a lot of calls to defund ICE are intensifying within the Democrat Party, but recent polling suggests this stance may be politically detrimental, and this shouldn't really come as a shock to anyone, because a significant majority of American voters, including independents and swing voters, favor strict immigration enforcement and oppose defunding ICE. But a lot of Dems can't help themselves, right? They need to echo the slogans of the extreme in their party. And as they're gearing up for midterm elections, they're really at risk of alienating the people they need to win the midterm elections. Defunding ICE, not popular. Defunding the police, not popular. You would think that you might learn from the past when you pushed defunding the police that had negative consequences and helped get Trump elected. But polling shows about 73% of voters see illegal entry into the United States as a crime. And support for deportation is at over 60%. And defunding ICE is just really unpopular. So this anti-ICE rhetoric, while it plays well on social media, doesn't play great with regular America. And so Republicans should be able to gain ground by contrasting their opinion, by highlighting Democrats that are vocally opposed to ICE. So, yeah. Yep. I don't know. I kind of think that if Democrats just keep pushing this, they're handing over the midterms to Republicans. It's what it looks like, but that's just my take from the outside. What else we got here? Here we go. Oh, yeah. Speaking of ICE and stupid takes, Bernie Sanders, ICE agents' racism and violence is extraordinary. Bernie was on CNN yesterday, and he was labeling ICE's actions as racist and violent. So this is the kind of rhetoric that just plays into most people don't care for that kind of talk. So congratulations, Bernie. You've put yourself on the outside again. Um, you know, and this is just another example of it. Yeah. Yeah. What else we got? We need another story. Oh, this is interesting. There's Laura Fernandez has secured a decisive win in Costa Rica's presidential election, pledging to advance the populist agenda initiated by her predecessor. This victory signals a potential shift in Central American politics, and Fernandez aims to address economic challenges and social issues, appealing to her diverse electorate. But here's the kicker. She ran as a populist. And what we have seen over the past number of years is that certain groups inside our government do not care much for populism. You will see how populists have been attacked. Donald Trump obviously ran as a populist. Leaders in Europe, right-wing leaders in Europe, have been smeared. The populist candidates have been smeared as racist and xenophobic and all kinds of terrible things because the permanent people in charge of things, right, whoever you think they are, don't like populism. Populism is really bad. And so you may have seen a shift of, let's just say the CIA, the shift, when the Soviet Union fell, they went from fighting communism to now they've been really focused on fighting populism worldwide. And so to see a leader like Fernandez win in Costa Rica as a populist, somehow the people in charge of things let her win. You know, they didn't fight her. And so it's interesting to see the rise of populism in the world. So that is kind of a sign of things to come. Will they allow other populists to win elections in Latin America? So we'll just have to see about that. What do we got here? We got one more. First, and this is you knew this was coming. First, major medical group opposes sex mutilating surgeries for minors, or as some people call them, gender affirming surgery, right? Just depending on where you're at there. But the American Society of Plastic Surgeons, the ASPS in the chyron there, has taken the controversial stance of opposing gender-affirming surgeries for minors. And this is like a major shift in the medical community. And it, so advocates for minors' rights to choose how they express themselves are naturally pretty upset about this. But this is a big change to see a medical group come out against this. So I see this as a good thing, right? Personally, you know, I don't think that kids should be changing their bodies before they're 18, doing plastic surgery and whatnot before they're 18. You know, you're not allowed to get a tattoo before you're 18, but somehow you're allowed to chop things off. Kind of just seems odd, but yeah, the plastic surgeons have. Who would have thought that the plastic surgeon group would be the group showing some concern and morals, right? But you know, here we are. Anyway, we got one more story. I'm calling it good news. So here we are. RFK Jr. has unveiled a $100 million initiative aimed at combating homelessness and drug addiction, and it's named STREETS, because we always need some kind of acronym that spells a word. It's nice. It confuses people, right? But anyway, this program is focusing on providing continuous support for individuals from street engagement, recovery, employment, and it's emphasizing a holistic approach to treatment. Kennedy criticized the previous system for failing to address the comprehensive needs of individuals struggling with mental illness and addiction. And so, and this new program is going to integrate law enforcement, healthcare, community support, and try to address people falling through the cracks. So this kind of holistic approach is what we've been hearing about. You know, it's interesting. I'm in Portland, Oregon. We've got a massive homeless crisis here. In fact, this morning I was on my walk near the golf course, and they were there cleaning up a homeless camp, and making the homeless people get their stuff together, and they were cleaning up the area. But what they've been doing obviously isn't working. Looks to be a big money grab here in Portland. Now this RFK Jr. program, it's only $100 million. They spend hundreds of millions in Portland on homeless with not very good results. So a nationwide program that's only $100 million, if RFK can actually get to show that his system will work, that's a great thing, because we can put a lot more into it. We really need to do something. Obviously, what they're doing here in Portland is not working at all. So I'm all about trying different measures to see what will work. And yeah, how cool would that be if RFK Jr. positioned himself as the savior of the homeless and addicted? That would be pretty awesome for his legacy. I think we all want to see people that are struggling get the care and get the help that they need. And so, yeah, I think this is good news. We'll just have to see what happens if anything happens with this at all. Anyway, that's all I have for you today. If you're one of the very few people watching live, stick around for the after show. I'll go through your comments. And yeah, I'll just have to figure out what's wrong with the show and why no one wants to watch it. So it's my plan to be back on Friday, but who knows? We'll just have to see. Anyway, yeah, I'll see you in the after show. Peace. Okay. Well, that's not... There we go. How about that? There we go. There we go. There we go. So Big Daddy's in the chat. That's it. That's it. So let's... Hey, Tom. At least we got each other. That's right. Yakov Smirnov was the comedian from Russia. That's right. In... keeping the facts about the story like that, isn't that just narrative building? It is. It is building the narrative. The idea that I really wanted to hit was that if a story has a good narrative, it just pulls in the facts that it needs, right? Not maybe the facts that are true, right? But it'll just pull things in. So you've seen this in a lot of things, like even the Renee Good story in Minnesota, what you heard initially, right, is this woman was minding her own business and, I don't know, dropping her kids off, and she was innocently turning around and driving, and these evil ICE guys just shot her dead for nothing, right? That was the initial story that you heard, right? And that's a pretty strong narrative. And so when that story gets out there, it doesn't pull in any facts that go against the initial story. And what do we have? The things that I talked about. It has a villain, a very easily defined villain. It's got moral certainty, so you know exactly who's good and who's bad in this story. And in this story, the good person was, her name was actually Good. And she wasn't doing nothing wrong, right? Didn't do nothing, right? And that is the sign of a story with a lot of gravity. Okay. Yeah, I agree. Bernie's an old man from another time. I agree there. Populism didn't... I don't believe in isms. I just believe in me. Ferris Bueller. That's a good quote. I like that. Too cold to walk here in Tennessee. Well, it is cold a lot of places. It's not too cold. I think it's 50. I want to say it's about 50 degrees here in Portland. I mean, I am still wearing a puffy jacket and a knit cap and everything when I walk, but it's not below freezing or anything. Hey, Doc, welcome back. Nice to see you, Doc. Doc BBX. 100 million is a lot of money. You think 100 million is a lot of money, but that's for a nationwide program, right? Portland has spent over $1 billion on homeless in the last couple of years. So, yeah, right? Like RFK, just don't like listening to him. I get it. It just takes a while to get used to it. Doc says, I've had friends that enjoy your videos but can't watch live because of work. That's cool. That's cool. I'm just trying to get back into the swing of things, making these live streams. And hopefully they grow, and if not, I don't know. I should probably pick topics that will get more clicks, so I should probably have a thumbnail, with this looking outraged and just putting up whatever the rage bait of the day is. So maybe I'll just have to start doing that. I don't know. Yeah, I guess everybody else is at work, Maybe if you came out at a later time, Tom. Doc says, on my lunch break so I can sneak in some Nuance with my coffee. Well, that's cool. Thanks for joining today, Doc and Big Daddy. I appreciate you more than you realize. Yeah, I was trying to decide, maybe there's a better time for this live show. I chose this time originally because it takes a while to get the show together, right? And I don't know, noon on the West Coast. That way I can go for a walk in the morning and get the show together. And time just kind of worked for me. But yeah, I mean, maybe I should just go live at 7 a.m., right? Who knows? But maybe that might work better. I figure there wouldn't be as much competition at noon or 3 p.m. on the East Coast. But maybe there's a whole lot less people. I don't know. So we're still figuring that out. Doc suggests do some Erica Candace videos to start the channel rolling. Yeah, just start picking some outrageous topics. I get it. That's probably not a bad idea. Probably putting up original ideas in a thumbnail. Probably the opposite of a way to get a lot of clicks. So, what are you going to do? Anyway, I hope you all have a beautiful rest of the day. Yeah, you can't please all the people all the time, so it is what it is. But thanks for checking in, and smash that like button if you can. And I will be back probably on Friday, unless I have something else. Oh, here's some good news for the people that stuck through to the end. I am now a grand uncle, right? Is that the term? My niece had a baby last night, so I guess that makes me a great uncle, right? Not grand uncle, great uncle. I think I'm a great uncle. So congratulations to her. Haven't seen the baby yet, but they're still at the hospital. But look forward to meeting my new niece, great niece or grand niece, whatever the term is. I guess I'll figure that out. Anyway, you all have a beautiful day. Till next time. Until next time. Peace.